So I'm talking to Alex about a book that changed her life as part of the BBC 100 Novels That Shaped the World project. So Alex, can we see the book that you've brought along?
Yeah. So
So
this is When Marnie Was There by Joan G. Robinson, written in 1967.
goodness, I'd been 1 year
Yeah.
1 year old then. So can you tell us a bit about when you discovered this book? What was going on in your life at that time?
Well, I would have been 7 when the book was written, and we lived in Watford in Hertfordshire, and our next door neighbour used to work for W.H. Smith's, and this was one of the books that she gave me. But I don't think I read it till I was 9, so it was published a bit earlier than when I first read it, and I was completely enchanted by it as a 9-year-old, because it's sort of based possibly on an imaginary friend or a ghost, and that's a little
Is
bit
this
about it.
Marnie? Is Marnie the ghost or
No,
imaginary friend figure?
Marnie is the ghost or imaginary friend, or possibly someone else.
Okay, so it's quite a mysterious story. Can
It's a
you say a
mysterious.
bit? Can you say a
Yep.
bit more about the story?
Well, in the sort of preface, it just says, brooding, lonely Anna, a foster child, goes to stay with a kind Norfolk couple. There, like something in her memory, she finds the old house backing onto the creek, but it is the girl at the window who haunts her. Marnie, who's the girl at the window, headstrong, often infuriating, and somehow just as elusive when the two meet as when she's been at the window. Marnie becomes Anna's perfect friend, and though she finally vanishes for good, she's helped Anna to make real friends. So there we are. But Anna is an orphan who lives with a foster mother and father in London, and then she goes to stay with her foster parents' friends in Norfolk.
Oh, just frozen. Just frozen.
Which I didn't know about Norfolk. I lived in Watford. You've frozen a little bit. Can you see me?
You're frozen again now. I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, you're not moving, but I think we can hear each other. Oh, that's annoying. But we can edit this. You seem to be back now, so okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So had you ever been to Norfolk at the point you read that?
No, my father was born in Caister, and he moved to Watford during the First World War, the Second World War, with his grandparents. So I think we knew of Norfolk because my dad had been born in Caister, but at that time we didn't ever go on holiday there or anything like that. So it was all
So
a bit of a mystery.
were you attracted to the sort of the countries, the very different kind of environment that was going on in the book?
Well, there's a lot about where Anna goes and stays is a little village called Little Overton,
Yeah,
and it is by the creek,
yeah.
and it's very wild and the wilderness, lots of wild birds collecting seashells, picking sea lavender,
Oh,
rowing with her friend on the imaginary creek. Not the imaginary creek, the imaginary friend rowing on the creek. And it just captured her.
yeah. So this was a world you weren't familiar with, but actually
No,
now
not
you're
at
very
all.
familiar with it.
Well,
Yeah.
this is where the interesting bit comes in, because in about so the book I read was in 1969. In about 1995, we went on holiday to Blakeney,
Yeah.
and on one of our little trips out, we went to Burnham Overy. And when I got to Burnham Overy, I thought, I know this place, never been there before. I know this place. And I kept saying to my husband and my daughter, I know this place, I've been here before. It's like a deja vu, you know, just like this deja vu. And thought I recognised the big marsh house on the creek at Burnham Overy Estate. And then we ended up going there, we still do. We used to go back there so often, and I just knew I knew it, and I didn't know how I knew it until in 2016, there was a photograph of Joan G. Robinson's side marsh house at Burnham Overy, and that is where the book was actually
Oh,
set.
wow.
So I just thought, my God, I knew I've known
Yes.
this all my life, and I found it.
Yes.
I found it.
Isn't that incredible
Yeah.
that
So
you'd
it's just
read about it,
amazing. Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
knew it from reading about it
Yeah.
when you
And
went there?
it's obviously and it's described so well in the book, and I've read this so many times. That's why I had this sort of deja vu. I've been here. I recognise that house, although I didn't. It was in my imagination of it. And then when Studio Ghibli made the animated film of when Marnie was there, that's when they interviewed Joan Robinson's daughter. And then there was a photo, which I've still got because I'm a little bit sad, of
Oh,
her outside the marsh house.
wow.
And I just found the whole, can you see that? Yep.
Yeah, I'll just put my glasses. Wow. Yeah.
So that in itself was
Yeah.
amazing. And then another time we went to Burnham Overy around that time in 2016, and we walked right out to the beach, which is about a 20-minute walk. I think I've told Alison this, and we saw about 30 people in a caterpillar walking back along the path. And when we got closer, they were all Japanese people. And I said to the person in front, goodness, you're out in the wilds. What are you doing here? And they'd been on a trip to the UK. They'd been to London and then come by, I think they were going to Edinburgh, via Burnham Overy Estate, so they could see where the Studio Ghibli film had been properly set. And again, it was just so
Wow.
bizarre to see all these Japanese
Yes.
people, all smartly dressed, in the
Yes.
middle
On
of
a
nowhere
pilgrimage.
on a pilgrimage. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
How
just found it
amazing.
fascinating.
How
Yeah.
amazing that that book's got that kind of legacy all over the
Yes.
world,
Yeah.
and that people, yeah.
Yes. But I'll let you
So,
into a secret. I've never seen the film.
is
I
there a
don't want it
reason you don't
ruined.
want
I don't
to?
want it ruined. No,
Ah,
no.
okay. I mean, I've seen a number of Studio Ghibli ones, and I think they're fantastic. So,
Oh, I do, but I don't want them
but not
to
this story.
yeah, the
So you've got
story.
a
Yeah,
very particular kind of way of imagining it yourself, by the sound of it.
yeah,
That sounds so
yeah.
alive because, because you knew it when you saw it. That's quite
Yes,
incredible, isn't it? So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And is it a book that you still read today?
Yes, I read it fairly recently, actually, probably last month,
And does it
and
change?
I just love it.
Does it change for you when you read it now?
No, it's like a
It's
friend.
like an old
It
friend.
just it's yeah, it's very familiar. There's certain bits of it I just love reading, and it does really conjure up that bleakness of Burnham Overy and walking out to Scolthead Island and the mud, the sampher, things like that. It's just lovely.
A very
Yeah,
Norfolk book as
a
well.
very Norfolk book. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. That's an amazing story, actually. Yeah, to hear, and makes me want to read the book as well. I'd heard of it, but that's all. Yeah.
Yes, it is lovely and such an interesting ending. A happy
Oh,
ending.
a happy ending. That's
A
good to
happy
know. I
ending.
won't
Yeah.
ask you to give the ending away, but yeah,
No, I won't. But
but it's a
she
happy
sort
one.
of didn't really imagine it. She was a bit like me. She knew it was something was familiar, but you need to read it to find out.
Yeah. Oh,